So this is Joshua. Joshua is a combat engineer in the Army and has deployed several times to Iraq and Afghanistan. And in the context of his deployments, he has sustained some injuries, specifically mild traumatic brain injuries or concussions, a few of them. And he kind of did okay. Joshua did okay while he was still in the structure of the military. But when he left the military and transitioned to civilian life, to college, that's when he ended up coming to me. You see, he said, something is wrong with the way that my brain works. I need help. I went to VA and they wrote me a prescription, actually 8 prescriptions. You see, because they tested him with the same tests that they use to test people with very severe brain injuries. And they found nothing and told him it was psychiatric. 8 prescriptions. Joshua is not unlike so many veterans transitioning out of the military. Approximately 200,000 transition out every year for the past few years and the next few years. And of them, about a third will have sustained a brain injury, with the vast majority being mild traumatic brain injuries. And even according to the DoD, this is a low estimate because they largely go unreported. About 44% will also have a diagnosis of PTS. And these numbers don't tell the whole story, but what they do tell us is that we are failing a large number of our military veterans. This is me. I'm Karen Gallagher, and this is not okay with me. And I decided I needed to look at this. I needed to know why. What's going on in this transition process with these veterans? And so I started to research it. I started to look at it and try to investigate and develop some tests that might be sensitive to their subtle deficits. You see, this is personal to me. That's me, not a 12-year-old boy. That is, in fact, me. Right before I deployed to war, I was U.S. Army Airborne Nuclear Biological Chemical Specialist. And I had my own transition issues when I got out of the military. And I didn't know how to make the adjustments. You see, when I was in, you trained me how to succeed in a desert environment. You trained me how to deal with the culture. You gave me a mission and you gave me a team, and I knew how to succeed. But when I got out, when Joshua got out, we didn't get that. None of us did. So I developed the Veteran Cognition and Academic Success Project, where I took on this question of what's really going on in these transitioning veterans and how can we better help them. And I got to work. I got to work with Joshua and a lot of veterans, hundreds of them at ASU, other campuses. They find me, they seek me out because they go to VA and say something's wrong with the way that my brain works, and they get written prescriptions when they want help. So I developed some tests that are sensitive to these, and it wasn't enough. I didn't want to stop there. I also developed an approach to help these veterans succeed in civilian life by getting the training they need, the memory strategy training they need to succeed, by learning how to define their own mission and how to identify their team by being connected with resources that matter and that impact their lives. And it worked. It worked. I got great feedback from veterans saying, I wish I had found you last semester. You know, I now have a 3.0 when I was failing. And I wanted to take this knowledge, what I had found, and I wanted to get it on the road. I wanted to get it out there to other researchers, to practitioners, to VA. And so I did. I took my message on the road and I presented at international conferences. I went to the media. I had news stories done. I gave interviews, lots of interviews. I published my findings in peer-reviewed academic journals. I even went to politicians and I discussed what these findings were and what needed to happen to better transition our military veterans. I wanted everyone to have access to the knowledge I found. I wanted them to be able to use this knowledge to really impact our veterans' lives as they're making this big transition. So I'm Karen Gallagher. I have the Veteran Cognition and Academic Success Project, and I am focused on training veterans in how to survive and succeed in the civilian world, how to define their own mission, and how to define their own team. Thank you.